First Person Advisors is now a subsidiary of NFP, the fifth largest insurance broker in the world, combining local expertise with access to global capabilities and solutions. Learn more at firstpersonadvisors.com.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Casey's Top 40. I'm Casey Kasem.
Wayne Fontana and the Mind Benders from their Game of Love hit to this one.
Then by Los Angeles, KRLA proudly presents the Bob Eubank Show on Radio 1110 KRLA.
Casey, Wink, Bob, West Coast radio legends who caught the ear of another Bob growing up in L.A. in the 60s.
This is the Bob and Tom Show.
Hello.
Bob and Tom, Bob and Tom.
Hi, he's Bob. I'm Bob. And he's Tom.
And I'm Tom.
In Indiana, the names Bob and Tom mean one thing: radio.
The unmistakable voice, the contagious laugh, the LA Dodgers hat. We're setting sail this week on the Business and Beyond podcast with radio legend Bob Kevoian.
They said, come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me. Come on, folks.
Too high.
Come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me. We're rocking. Come sail away, Jimmy. Come sail away with me. Going up the chords now. Come sail away, come sail away, come sail away.
Hello and welcome to the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. I'm Gary Dick. Robert James Bob Kevoian never dreamed he'd wind up making a living sitting behind a radio mic, making people laugh. But he did just that for more than 3 decades. Bob grew up in Los Angeles. Dad Toby worked for the Dodgers. Mom, Jean, worked in education. Kevoian graduated in 1973 from Cal State Long Beach. Pursued a master's degree, but gave it up when he started working as an intern for a radio station in LA. He got his first professional gig at WMBN in Petoskey, Michigan. It didn't pay much, so he moonlighted as a bartender, which is where Bob met Tom Griswold, the beginning of a radio partnership that would last more than 30 years, turning Bob and Tom into household names from coast to coast, and eventually launching them into the National Radio Hall of Fame. And I'm very pleased to be joined on the Business and Beyond podcast this week by Bob Kevoian. Bob, thanks for joining me. How are you?
I'm fine. Thanks very much, Gary.
Yeah. Great to catch up with you. Hard to believe that it's been more than 6 years, I guess, now since you retired. I guess full-time retired. You've been back on, I think, guest hosting a few times and things, but you're not letting any grass grow under your feet. You and your wife, Becky, you do a lot of traveling, right?
Oh, yeah. That was one of the reasons we decided to, I guess, call the radio career over, so we could actually live a little bit before old age sets in. So we've purchased a Airstream trailer, and we haul that thing around the country. We've been to 46 of the 48 contiguous, and in this short time. So we're having the time of our lives, actually.
So what are the 2 states you have yet to be?
South Dakota and Minnesota.
Okay, good. Yeah. I'm sure you'll knock those off before too long.
Yes, indeed. That's probably on the schedule for the spring or fall of 2023.
Very good. Well, you got the Airstream, and those, Airstreamers are really passionate people. It sounds like you would be among that group. How did you get into the whole Airstream thing and taking these trips?
That was my wife's call. I mean, she loves the whole design of the Airstream. So, and once you get into one of these things, you realize, wow, these are pretty fancy things. So it was a good choice, and it's a good traveling companion.
favorite trip, your favorite destination? You've been obviously a lot of places. Any place?
So far, Valley of the Gods, Utah, a wide open place that is one of the most beautiful areas I've ever been to. And we boondock a little bit where we go off the grid and camp under the stars. And it was one of the more beautiful places I'd ever been.
Oh, that's very cool. Very cool. So do you ever miss radio? I'm sure people ask that a lot, but after doing it for so long and at such a high level, do you ever miss it?
I missed it, I guess, the first couple of years in retirement. It's hard to let something go that you've been doing for so long. But now I have a whole new life, and I don't miss waking up early. I
was going to ask you that, because that's a whole routine in and of itself. You don't miss that. You don't get up early anymore.
No, I do not. It's we stay up late, watch a couple of shows that we're into, and get up when our dog tells us to.
Well, you had a mic drop moment, I would say, announcing your retirement. I think it was at the end of 2015, after you were inducted into the National Radio Hall of Fame. That had to be, and congratulations, by the way, but that had to be really a cool moment.
It was. I think I took a few folks by surprise, but we'd been talking about it, and we thought, well, this is probably the best time to do it while everybody would be listening. So it was, and I'm glad I did it then. It was a memorable evening, being inducted into the Hall of Fame and then saying you're walking away is pretty incredible. As I told them that evening, I said, I thought you had to be dead or retired for 5 years before you were considered for any Hall of Fame. But that is not the case in radio.
Yeah. Well, Bob, I was thinking about just before doing the podcast here, I think I deserve some credit for that induction, because I think, at Channel 6, you had Gary Dick and Norman Cox. So we gave you some material, I think, back in the day.
Yes, you did. And I think we made you household names.
Outstanding.
Oh, yeah.
That is good. A career that began or that ended, I should say, in the Hall of Fame began, as I understand it, really by accident. You got into radio kind of on accident?
Total fluke. I was working with a group called the Young Americans. They did summer stock in Petoskey, Michigan. And I did that for 4 years, just going there every summer and doing shows. And I was on the technical crew. And I just fell in love with the place and said, I'm staying here, so I better find work. And the first place I looked was WMBN in Petoskey, Michigan. I walked in and I said, do you need anyone to spin records for your DJs? I said, yeah. I'm pretty good technically. And the guy goes, no, all of our DJs do that themselves. Would you be interested in being a DJ? And I said, well, sure. What do I have to do? And he, Gary Burlington was his name, Gary Buffington. Gary said, take this Associated Press news into the production room, read it, and give me the tape, and I'll give you a holler tomorrow. And I did that. And he called me the next day and said, you want to start working? I said, yes. And
wow.
I did 4 to midnight. A long 8-hour stretch.
I was going to say that's a long shift. Yeah,
it is. Things got shorter as the career got longer. So, but that's where I started there, and then I met Tom a year later when I was tending bar in the evening.
Yeah, and hey, Bob, talk for those who haven't been to Petoskey. It's a beautiful part of the country, isn't it? Describe
Petoskey Harbor Springs, right there in Old Traverse Bay. It's one of the most beautiful areas in the country, and I just fell in love with it. And it really is God's country up there.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Tom was up there, and again, that how you guys got together and this whole thing came together, I think is an amazing story. How did you meet Tom, and what was he doing in Petoskey?
Well, his parents had a summer cottage there. So Tom was visiting his folks that summer, and I was tending bar. He had come in for a drink after a Jay Giles concert at a place called Castle Farms. And he ordered a CC and ginger ale. I remember that very well. And ended up just started talking radio, which came out. It was just weird. And the next thing you know, he goes, can I come to the station, look at the trades? I'm looking for work. And I said, sure, come on. You can come by tomorrow. I get in there at 10. He came in at 10. He saw my owner, general manager at 11. And by noon, he was my new program director.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
That was fast.
It was very fast. And we became very good friends and roommates and then broadcast partners in a matter of a year.
Was it, people talk so much about chemistry and that kind of thing. Did you guys just kind of hit it off or click instantly?
I think so. It was kind of a very quick friendship, and being roommates, we got to know each other pretty well. You got to know the guy's quirks, what he was like, as a roommate. So it did click pretty quick.
Yeah, you guys on the air up there doing a little research. You were massively successful. You pulled some really huge numbers, right?
Yes, indeed. We actually had, I think, a 12 plus 44 share in our morning shift.
Wow.
We were getting all the advertising dollars, and our competitors made tapes of us, sent the tapes out to radio conventions, trying to get us hired out of the market. And it worked. That's how we ended up in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So someone got a hold of our tape. It got to a convention in Miami, and they played it for a bunch of program directors around the country. And we started getting phone calls, and we had no idea how they heard about us. And we were somewhat stunned. Next thing you know, we're going different states for interviews, and Indianapolis turned out to be the best choice.
Why Indy? What made you, land on Indy?
I think the personnel that we talked with, they were wonderful people. Denny Rossman was our general manager at the time. Great guy. And he kind of, I just guided us in, and it worked out. And I'm glad we found Indy to be a home.
Yeah. And what year was that, Bob? Was that 84?
83.
83.
Went on the air March 7th, 1983.
So you literally, I think it was a year later, right, that the Colts came to town.
Yes, it was kind of an interesting chemistry that we were kind of the new guys in town. Then the Colts came in; they were the new kids in town.
Yeah,
and their practice facility happened to be right down the street from the radio station, which was I think it was old Fall Creek
elementary school, right?
Yeah, so that was that was their practice facility. And next thing you know, we have Colts coming in and out of the radio station. Jimmy Irsay became a huge fan, and it just everything clicked. And the next thing you know, our career started taking off. The Colts became hometown heroes, hated in Baltimore but loved here.
Yeah,
and it was, I guess it was kind of a marriage made in Indy. So.
Yeah, no kidding. What was it, Bob, about, because you were for sure, because I remember it very well, must listen radio. I mean, without question. What were the things that came together? You talked about that relationship with the Colts and how that kind of played out, but in terms of the cast of characters, the great bits you guys put together, how did it all kind of come together?
Well, Tom and I had been doing bits when we were in Petoskey, and then when we got here, a wide variety of talent came looking for us. We weren't out looking for guys to be, Haji or Dick Nixon.
Yeah.
They all came to us, and it just evolved into radio chaos. It was an absolute blast. We all learned together. We were a little fraternity of laughter.
You mentioned Haji, Dick Nixon. You can go on down the list. Did you have a favorite? Did you have a favorite character?
I always loved Jay Baker's Dick Nixon because it didn't sound like Dick Nixon, which is. half the fun. I've loved all of the people that helped us. Some continue to work, some have gone different paths, and it's an interesting medium to, as you say. We would always mention, don't break the wall. Keep the people guessing. That's why I wasn't really a big fan of when TV cameras came into the studio. I think kind of disrupted.
I was interesting about that. Did you feel it kind of took away a little bit? Maybe?
Yeah, I think it did, because people have this imagination of what it looks like in there, and then when you see what it is, you're going, well, it's kind of boring.
Yeah,
but it is what it is. A lot of people do it now, but I am still one of those. I love the radio and the magic of radio, and you can create a scene and let them make it all happen in their brain.
Yeah. One thing that always amazed me about you guys is because it's one thing to be funny for a week or a month or a year. I mean, you've got to continue to stay relevant, to be funny. How did you do that? I mean,
well, the best part about it is you're doing it with 4 or 5 friends that you enjoy hanging out with. And the ultimate goal is to make the other person laugh. Tom and I would never write stuff together. I would write with my buddy Whit Grayson, and Tom would write with his guy, Ricky Rydell. And we'd create these things. And then as it was presented on air, either I had not heard it before or Tom had not heard it before. This way you get the absolute genuine laugh.
Yeah.
And a genuine laugh transmits much better than a laugh that's faked.
Yeah. So it was almost a competition. You wanted to make
absolutely. Very much so. It's like I know Tom's going to just piss himself when he hears this. And that's what you dream of. And Tom, same thing. He would sit there hoping to get the genuine laugh. And I think that was part of our success. Instead of us sitting down and writing everything together, we did it separately, and I think it paid off.
Yeah. Such a big hit here in Indianapolis, and ultimately you syndicated around the country, I think in the mid 90s, maybe 95.
Started in 95. Yeah. We got up to like 150 affiliates.
Wow.
We were riding on top of the wave.
Yeah. What was that like? As you got more and more stations on board, and you really became a dynamo.
For us, it wasn't any different. We were still the core 4 inside the studio, looking at each other, not realizing who's listening or where they're listening. Well, that happened one morning. We were doing a giveaway. We're giving a car away, and we had a bunch of entries, and all the entries were thrown into the trunk of the car. And we were going to drive around all morning. When the car ran out of gas, pop the trunk, pull out a winner's name. Well, it turned out we were on 465, getting ready to get on to 70. And it was still a little dark. And we said, hey, if you're listening to the show, blink your lights. And the whole freeway started blinking lights. And it's like, we were somewhat stunned. We had no idea that many people were listening to us.
Yeah.
And that was the morning that we ended up going over to the Speedway, found Allenzer Jr. He pushed us out of the front seat of the car, took over the wheel, got onto the Speedway.
Oh my gosh.
Took us for 2 hot laps in a Mercury.
You are kidding me.
No. And we're broadcasting the whole time, and we get flagged down by a yellow shirt. They're ready to throw us, honest to God, into jail. And little Al rolls down the window. He goes, hey, guys. And the guy goes, Al, what are you doing? He goes, I'm just taking Bob and Tom for a spin. He said, well, have a good day. And off we went. At the time, there was a Steak and Shake across from the racetrack.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
As soon as we pulled out of there, we ran out of gas just at that Steak and Shake. It would have been ideal had we run out of gas on the Speedway's main straightaway.
Yeah.
That would have made news. But yeah, we put a winner out, and that was a morning I won't forget.
That is a great story. Hey, how would you assess, you talk about the creativity, the imagination that is part of the magic of radio. Does that still exist in radio today with all the changes we've seen? How would you assess the state of radio today?
I think so. You don't have as many to choose from. And that's another thing about young talent coming up. It's hard to start in a small local radio station and build your dreams we were lucky enough to be ahead of that curve, but a lot of automation has come to play, and it's in my opinion, hurting the radio personality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're going to have much more with Bob Kevoian when we return, including growing up in California, the LA Dodgers cap, and the team he really roots for. That and much more when we return on the Business and Beyond podcast.
First Person Advisors is now a subsidiary of National Financial Partners, the fifth largest insurance broker and consultant in the world. Develop your total reward strategies all in one place with the combination of First Person's local expertise and NFP's global resources and integrated solutions. Learn more at firstpersonadvisors.com.
Welcome back to the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. My guest this week, radio legend Bob Kevoian. And Bob, you are a California native. Grew up where Southern California, LA, right?
Yes, a suburb, Norwalk, California, and lived there all of my life.
What was your younger years? What was growing up in California like for Bob?
Well, it was sunny, and we got to ride new bikes on Christmas Day, unlike a lot of other people. But aside from that, it was, I guess, a typical childhood. I had two brothers, a sister, grew up in suburbia, and I guess discovered our talents as we got to high school.
Did you? What were you? Musically oriented, sports? What'd you do?
I did a little of both. I love sports, and I broke a sternum once, and took my sports career away for the
wow. Yeah. How'd that happen?
Screwing around, jumping off cliffs at Carlsbad State Beach. It's a story you really don't need to hear.
Don't want to hear. Okay. Yeah.
And then I during my I guess injury, I taught myself to play guitar, and I played guitar and sang.
So you love to play guitar, right? You've been.
Oh yeah. I've kind of transitioned to the ukulele. It's much lighter.
I like it. So college was Cal State, Long Beach, right? Is that Long Beach State?
Yeah, it's Long Beach State. It's, everyone's, it's California State at Long Beach, or it's, University
Long Beach
of California, Los Angeles.
Okay. The one thing I remember, Long Beach State, were they the 49ers?
49ers. Uh-huh.
And there was a guy when I think it was in college, Ed Ratliff was a basketball player for Long Beach State. That's the only thing I can remember about Long Beach State.
You got Spielberg also.
Wow. Yeah. What'd you study? What'd you think you wanted to be when you grew up?
Theater.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. The memorized lines, know how to do a production in front of the stage, behind the stage, on the stage, stuff like that. But and I think that helped prep for theater of the mind and radio.
Yeah. But you had at least at that time, no real.
No, in fact, I think the thing you mentioned about a master's in something, I think that's been made up on Wikipedia. I don't know where that came
Is that right?
Yeah, I never stepped inside of a radio station until I got to Petoskey.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I never interned in Los Angeles at all. So that's the thing about Wikipedia. A lot of it's true, and then a lot of it isn't.
Some of it maybe not so much. Yeah. Did you have? Everybody has mentors. Do you have people you can consider mentors or favorite teachers or people who really made an impact on your life in those earlier years?
I had an English teacher, Lloyd Madjet was his name, and he was sophomore English. And he was one of those guys that I don't know. I just thought he was brilliant. He was funny, enjoyed attending his class. and he'd made learning fun, even though my English isn't that good. But then Jan Britton, who was a drama teacher, she was a great gal, and I guess my dad, he was a good.
Yeah. Did he work? He worked for the Dodgers?
He did. Yeah. Was started out in 1958 when the Dodgers moved to Los Angeles. They played at the LA Coliseum for 4 seasons.
Yep.
And my dad worked for an electronics firm across the street from the Coliseum. And they were looking for ushers, and he decided to moonlight as an usher. And he got the gig. I got to go to baseball games and hang out. It was a lot of fun. And then when Dodger Stadium opened in '62, he got promoted into, in charge of the ticket takers. And then I think later in '70, he was put in charge of ticket takers and ushers and a bunch of others. So he was considered management. And in 1981, when the Dodgers won the series, they presented him with a World Series ring.
Wow.
Pretty darn cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, obviously that answers the connection to the Dodgers hat, which you are wearing as we speak.
Yes.
So you love the Dodgers, but are you really a Reds fan? Is that?
I am also a Reds fan. Yeah, and that I blame on Johnny Bench and Marty Brennaman. So it turns out that Johnny Bench was the biggest Bob and Tom fan on the face of the earth.
Really?
Yeah, we'd gone out to dinner with him once, and he word for word quoted at least 10 bits that we had done. And honest to God, he got every word perfect. And
wow.
He's one of those.
That had to make you feel pretty good.
It made me feel pretty good. The first time I met Johnny was via the phone. He called and asked if I wanted to go with him to Scotland to play golf. And I thought it was a joke because why would Johnny Bench call me? So next thing you know, my wife, Becky, and I on our way to Scotland to play at Turnberry with Johnny Bench and Marty Brennaman and speed skater Dan Jansen and 16 other people who'd paid to go on the trip. And I'll clean this up. I told Johnny I had not met him face to face. And when I walked up to him, I said, Johnny Bench, I want you to know this is the first time I've ever uttered your name without the word screw in front of it. He was the biggest rival, the Dodgers. He was hated by Dodgers. Dodgers. Oh, yeah. The Big Red Machine crushed our dreams a couple of years.
Yeah.
So we became very, very fast friends. Becky and I were celebrating New Year's Eve New Year's morning, watching the Rose Parade. And Oklahoma was in the Rose Bowl that year. And out comes the Oklahoma float in the parade, and there's Johnny Bench sitting on the float waving. I said, Becky, look, it's Johnny. Let's call him and wish him Happy New Year. So I figure I'm going to leave a message. He answers the phone.
He's on the float.
While he's on the float on television, he's talking to me and Becky, waving, Happy New Year, Bobby. Happy New Year, Becky. This whole time he's riding on the float. And that was a very memorable moment from
I bet it was, yeah.
Baseball Hall of Famer.
Yeah. And Marty Brennaman, I think you're good friends with him as well.
Yeah, we're very, very good friends. And in fact, we're going to meet up with him when we get out to Arizona. He's a good man. He's a wild man, and I'm proud to call him friend.
Yeah. Hey, one thing I wanted to ask you about too, because one thing that I was always so impressed me about you and Tom is that you really did a lot of work for charities, really gave back a lot of time, money, effort over the years. And everybody does that to an extent, but you guys really are very intentional about that. Where did that sense of giving back come from?
I think it all started with working with you guys on the Jerry Lewis Telethon. When we first got to town, they invited Tom and I to help host some of the hours and with you and your colleagues. And it was an eye-opener.
Yeah.
So we decided after all of the years of writing bits and recording songs and stuff that, hey, maybe we should put an album together and donate to charity. Our first one was called the Bob and Tom the White Album. And we were going to give the proceeds to the Humane Society. But we had a bid on there called Burger Pony. And the Humane Society said, well, you have to take that off or we can't accept your money.
Yeah.
So we looked for a different charity and eventually turned into a Make-A-Wish Foundation and then a zillion other charities. And
Yeah.
we gave out millions of dollars to people all over the state of Indiana, and it's a good feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll bet. As you look back on so many of the people you worked with, characters and others, do you keep in touch with many of the old team, the old crew?
Not so much anymore. I see Tom on occasion, but and Christy on occasion.
Yeah.
My best friend, Whit Grayson, who was one of the Love Brothers, he wrote a lot of stuff for us. We still get together on a weekly basis, have a whiskey, and either be creative. We started messing around trying to do a podcast, and by the end of the podcast, you're too drunk to actually put it up. So yeah, I still keep in touch with a few, but not many. I mean, we've all kind of gone our own ways.
Yeah.
And you have new pursuits, new family members. Being a grandparent's a lot of fun.
How's that? How do you like being a grandparent?
It's fantastic. It's just fantastic.
What's next? You're doing plenty of stuff. Traveling is that as you look, down the barrel, there's going to be lots more traveling going forward, or anything else you want to check off the list?
No, we've done a lot, but no, I think we may start the loop again and hit the 48 one more time. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And what did you say? You say South Dakota and
Minnesota.
Yeah. And you're going to get there next year.
We'll get that done. Maybe even this year. I don't know. They still have fall. You don't want to go to Minnesota in the summertime.
No. Yeah, definitely. You're a big baseball fan. I know you're going to try to catch some spring training. Not a good year maybe to catch spring training, but hope springs eternal. Eternal. Do you think they'll get that thing solved?
I hope they do. But baseball fans have been through this before, and it's very possible they may not come up with a deal until April or May. We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that would be sad for baseball.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, it's been a very happy moment for me to share a few moments with you, Bob. Really appreciate and respect all you've done, not only in the radio business, but for Indianapolis and for Indiana as well. And thanks again for taking a few minutes to join us on the podcast.
Trust me, I'm free all day. We can go another 3 hours if you like.
Okay. I'll give you a call back. We'll do it again. Hey, thanks very much. Bob
Thank
Kevoian.
you, Gary.
Yeah, you bet. Bob Kevoian, radio legend here in Indiana and beyond. My guest this week on the Business and Beyond podcast. It is a weekly conversation with achievers in business, sports, entertainment, and beyond. And you can check all of the past episodes of the Business and Beyond podcast at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. You can click on the subscribe tab. This is Gary Dick. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.